There's something going on with Lamar Jackson that nobody saw coming. And now things just got real. He's back in Baltimore with the team rolling. But there's this feeling that a shadow is following him every time he steps into the pocket. And this isn't just about playing well or not. It's about the weight of every hit, every pressure, every extra second he doesn't have to think, like the game is tightening around him from all sides. And when a quarterback like him starts to feel that, that's when the story takes a different turn. And the strangest part is that, right where he needs stability the most, the next opponent is a team bringing a loud, nonstop pass rush. Exactly the kind that targets everything that's been bothering Lamar for weeks. The question is simple. Can he handle one more game at this pace? Or is this where everything shifts? Because of the way things are right now, any tiny detail can flip the entire script. And that's what makes this moment feel completely different. When Lamar Jackson comes back to Baltimore after weeks on the road, the feeling isn't exactly relief. It's like coming home after a long trip and realizing you're still not fully relaxed. His team is rolling, winning tough games away from M&T Bank Stadium, and everyone expects that playing home is supposed to make everything easier. But with Lamar, it's not that simple. He steps back into his own stadium, still carrying that discomfort that doesn't show on the scoreboard, but shows up in the way he plays. And that feeling comes from one thing. He knows he's not performing at that sharp level everyone's used to. He's winning games, sure, but he's not playing with the same rhythm, the same confidence that makes the Ravens' offense look unstoppable. It's like the wins are happening despite him not being at his peak. And that messes with any player who holds himself to Lamar's standard, even with a crowd behind him. That internal question is still there. Is today finally the day everything clicks again? At the same time, there's the pressure of coming home knowing the expectations are sky high. When a team comes in riding a 4-game win streak, with one of the most talented quarterbacks in football, the whole world expects another show. But Lamar knows better than anyone that none of that matters if he doesn't feel comfortable on the field. The stadium can be loud, the atmosphere can be perfect, the energy can be electric. But if the game doesn't flow for him, none of that fixes anything. And that contrast, the team rolling while Lamar is still searching for his best self, is what makes everything so interesting. He's not playing poorly, but he's not at the level people expect either. And that opens the door to the next big question, one that's been growing louder every week. How much is the pressure he's facing inside the pocket affecting everything? Which leads right into the next point. The truth is that Lamar steps onto the field already knowing he'll have to deal with that tight, uncomfortable pocket again. You know when you're trying to focus on something important, but someone keeps tapping your shoulder? That's basically what his games have felt like. He barely gets the ball, and someone is already closing in, forcing quick decisions and taking away the comfort any quarterback needs to play with confidence. It's not a maybe it'll happen situation. It's his new normal. And that wears you down because you can't play loose when you know someone's always knocking on the door. And against the Jets, that's not going to change. They might not be the best team in the league, but their pass rush doesn't quit. They're that annoying, persistent defense that forces you to stay alert every second. And when you've been dealing with pressure for weeks, that takes a toll. And when it takes a toll, it changes everything. It affects his rhythm, his confidence, even his reads. Lamar's explosive, smart, creative. But even a quarterback with his talent needs a moment to breathe and actually see the field. And if he doesn't get that space, things tighten up, not because he doesn't know what to do, but because he doesn't have time to do it. And that leads to the next problem that's become impossible to ignore. The number of times Lamar has been sacked is getting out of hand, and you can't hide that much longer. It's the kind of thing that not only disrupts the offense, it changes how he approaches every snap. And that's exactly why the next topic matters so much. When Lamar found out he'd already taken 23 sacks this season, his reaction said it all. It was that mix of surprise and frustration, like realizing you missed something you should have noticed earlier. And the worst part, he already matched last year's total with 10 fewer games played. That's not small. That's a huge red flag for how the offensive line is protecting him. And it's not just about the numbers. It's about what those hits do to his body. Every hit counts. Every time he's driven into ground adds up. Every time he gets sacked, it chips away at his rhythm, his confidence, and even his patience. When he said he needed to talk to the offensive line. You could tell it wasn't a joke. There's real frustration there. The kind that says, guys, this can't keep happening. And what's interesting is how Harbaugh tries to downplay everything publicly, saying the line is improving, that the guys are playing well. It's that classic coach move. Try and protect the group while everyone can see something slipping out of control. It's not drama. It's what the numbers say. And when the numbers look like this, there's not much to hide. And if the sacks were already a problem, things get even trickier when you factor in Lamar's body starting to feel the wear, knee soreness, ankle discomfort, all these little things stacking up. And that brings us to the next point, because this isn't just about protecting the quarterback. It's about keeping him healthy enough to still be Lamar, the difference maker.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
When a quarterback takes too many hits, the body responds. And Lamar is no exception. First, it was the knee acting up during the week. Now it's the ankle. These aren't major injuries, but they're signs. Signs that the season is taking its toll. Signs that when he's hitting the ground more than he should, the effects show up quicker than people realize. And his play style makes all of this even more obvious. Lamar is explosive, fast, creative. He changes the game's rhythm with his movement. But when the body starts sending warning signals, that explosiveness doesn't come out with the same ease. Not because he can't do it, but because he has to think twice before doing something that normally feels natural to him. Harbaugh tries to take the blame, tries to calm everything down, like he's saying, we've got this under control. But the report makes it clear. The injuries are showing up. This is an opinion. It's not interpretation. It's exactly what's happening week after week. And when you mix that with the sacks, the constant pressure, the uncomfortable pockets, it's easy to understand why Lamar hasn't looked like his usual fluid self. The interesting part is that even with all of this going on, there's something working in his favor for the next game. The Jets don't have a secondary that really scares anyone. And that's why, even banged up, pressured, and irritated, the matchup still leans his way, which takes us to the last topic. With everything going on, the pressure, the sacks, the small injuries, it would be easy to assume the game against the Jets could get messy. But here's the twist. The Jets simply don't have the kind of secondary that flips games. They don't have that safety or corner that forces you to second-guess a read or hesitate on a throw. That gives Lamar a huge advantage, even if the pocket isn't ideal. It means that when he does get time, even if it's just a split second, the windows will be there, and for a quarterback like him, sometimes all it takes is that 1 second to turn an ordinary play into something that puts pressure back on the opponent. That's why, despite all the issues, this game doesn't look as dangerous as it could. He might not be at his peak, but there's still plenty of room for him to produce. And there's something else. The Jets don't have an offense that forces the Ravens into a shootout. They don't make Lamar play on the edge every snap. That helps Baltimore control the tempo, use the clock, and give Lamar a lighter mental and physical load. It doesn't fix everything, but it helps. And that's why the report leaves you with this sense of confidence. Even with all signs pointing to a tough matchup, this is the kind of game where Lamar can finally breathe a little and get that rhythm back. The rhythm that's been missing for weeks. Because sometimes, all it takes is one calmer game for everything to start falling into place again. In the end, everything comes back to the pressure building around Lamar Jackson. Too many sacks, not enough protection, and a body starting to feel the weight of it all. Even so, he walks into this game with a chance to flip the script and prove he's still in control, even with all the warning signs flashing around him. It's one of those moments where every snap matters, every decision counts, and every detail could decide whether the Ravens stay hot or this story takes a much tougher turn. Now I want to know, do you think this is a game where Lamar finally takes back control, or is the risk bigger than it looks? Because everything is set up for one of those chapters that shows who's really ready to carry a team when the pressure gets real. And if anyone can turn this around, it's him.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.